Hodgepodge Mama here. I'm continuing on with our adoption saga. Our first lead had been Isaiah. Um, our second lead came through the website that we had registered on Parent Profiles. So we must have answered at least at least 50, if not 100, emails from various scammers. And if you're keen enough right off the bat, you should be able to pick up that something is off in the way that somebody emails you, in the wording. But after you've received a few of these, you can read it and you know immediately this is not a real person. This is not a actual potential adoption lead, and you just either ignore them. I remember one point, um, just for fun, it was a slow day at work. I engaged this person and I kept pushing and calling them out on the fact that I knew they were scamming me, and it was just ridiculous what people will do to try to get. I mean, they're asking for my bank account information and just send this money over and we'll fly the baby over to you. Come on, it's just so ridiculous, and I cannot believe that people fall for it. Oh my God, it's so obvious. But I think that's just desperation. Some families are just so desperate to have that baby that they just want to believe it, no matter how ridiculous the contact is. But at any rate, amongst all of those, we got an actual lead from a young lady. We're going to call her Kaylee. And Kaylee was a married teenager. She had an 8-month-old already and was pregnant again. And so she was thinking of placing this new baby in an adoptive home because she was having problems with her husband and they were on the verge of splitting up or divorcing there. So uh, we spoke on the phone several times. She was very shy, which worked for me because I was shy too. Um, and we set up not an appointment, but we set up a time to meet, and we were very anxious to meet. We hadn't seen any pictures of her, of course, so we didn't know who to expect. And we sat there and we waited in the designated location for over an hour, and she wasn't returning phone calls or anything. And so basically, we got stood up. But then when we got home, either later that day or the very next day, I got an email from her apologizing that something had come up and that she wanted to reschedule. But the night before our rescheduled meeting, for some reason I couldn't sleep, and so I went and checked my email, and she had not only emailed me to cancel the appointment, but to back out of the adoption plan. So basically, she said over the holidays, she realized, or she found out, that her aunt and uncle were interested in adopting the baby, and obviously it would be, I think, under normal circumstances, a baby should stay with their family, if not with the parents. If it's impossible, to be raised by the parents, the aunt and uncles, at least they're still in the family. So, that was a couple of months of pursuing that lead without ever actually meeting the young lady. But yeah, that was also something that didn't pan out. Our third lead was through word of mouth. A friend of mine had a person she knew through church who had just found out that her granddaughter was pregnant and was encouraging her to adopt. And now I've already been through one adoption lead with a grandmother, with the baby's grandmother. Now I was dealing with the potential birth mother's grandmother. So I should have known again not to do business, right, with grandmothers. But at any rate, I called the grandmother. I went to meet the young lady, actually without even telling my husband because I didn't want to jinx it or something. And we ended up, I think it was for several, like 3 months or something, we got to know each other. Like, we spent time with her family. We took her and her sister sightseeing in DC. I took her to work with me so she can kind of see, what I do. She came to our home. We had an awkward conversation about baby names. Again, now knowing what I know about adoption and in the best interest of the child, we probably wouldn't have had that conversation in the first place. But we became Facebook friends. So the situation with this young lady, she was graduating high school. She had issues at home, so she was up here where we were staying at, living with her grandmother, but she was originally from Florida. She, after she got pregnant, she found out that the boy, or the young man rather, was placed for adoption by her mom. So let me see if you can follow that, right? So she met a boy. They went out for a time. She got pregnant. Then she finds out they are actually biological half siblings. Okay. So I don't know if that was part of the reason that the grandmother wanted to um, arrange an adoption or what, but obviously the grandmother's own daughter had been a birth mother, so I don't know. She thought that worked out well for him, although that was problematic that they didn't know about each other, right? But at any rate, so like I said, for 3 months, we hung out, we spent time together, we tried to get to know each other. I tried to help her with some career planning, for after high school and everything, and we became Facebook friends. And then she graduates high school, turns 18, and moves back to Florida. And I find out by I figure out basically what happened, basically by just looking on Facebook and think, wait a minute, she's in Florida? Why is she talking about working here and her baby shower? So reading between the lines on her posts on Facebook, I've realized that she had backed out of the adoption plan, never told us that she changed her mind. Obviously, she had every right to change her mind. Totally her decision, right? She was very early on in the pregnancy too, so she hadn't even had a chance to bond with the baby before talking to us. But I mean, come on, But then again, she was very young and not worried about other people's feelings or anything. However, her grandmother should have known better. I do hold it against her grandmother that she meddled, and then not so much as an apology. But so that's how that ended. I was just minding my business one day, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, okay, I guess we're not going to be adopting this baby. That's interesting. So yeah, so that's how that went down. Our third lead, where is it? No, that was our third lead, sorry. Our fourth lead was Dana and Carl. And this would have been a kinship adoption. So I get an email from my brother's girlfriend. Surprise, I'm pregnant. So at first I think that the point of the email is to let me know that she's pregnant, right? Because, it's my brother, so I should know. But then I reread the email again and I realize, oh, we talked about it and we want you guys to adopt a baby. Okay. Didn't see that one coming. And at that point of time, I was looking for signs and everything, and it's a sign. That's why all the other, everything else has fallen through because we were waiting for it. It was ridiculous. It was really, really terrible way to think about adoption. Now I know better. But that's where I was at the time, so I immediately believed that this was going to happen for real. But even so, my husband and I met with my brother and his girlfriend and talked about our options, and us, and we suggested, look, we can be temporary guardians and just take care of the baby for a bit while you guys get your stuff together, figure out what you're doing, because he was about to join the military, and she was living with my parents at the time, and so so we were like, let's just we'll watch the baby for you, and you guys figure out what you want to do, and then you'll continue to parent, right? And they were like, absolutely not. We've already decided adoption is the way to go. Now, she had a baby with her previous boyfriend the year before, and she ended up actually signing over her parental rights. So the father of that baby had full parental custody, so she didn't have she wasn't parenting that baby. So that was another reason why I kind of thought, okay, it doesn't seem like she's really interested in parenting because she's already proven to, to opt out. Not with any kind of judgment. I'm just saying I thought she wasn't interested in parenting. So I'm like, okay, definitely gonna work the way we thought it would. So I took her to midwife appointments, prenatal yoga. Like I said, she lived with my parents at the time. What was the so this went on for a couple months. Oh, she gave me a present, a boppy pillow present, so a baby present. She gave me a baby present, right, to kind of underline how serious, she was about this place. That don't worry, that this is we're serious. So 2 months of this talking back and forth, and we're like, okay, so it looks like this is going to go forward. Let's go ahead and meet with an attorney, draw up a contract, because we would need that for the hospital. $800 later, we have a contract. A week goes by, and I get a text. I think I was putting away laundry. I get a text from my brother. Oh, Dana changed her mind. That's it. It's the whole text. That was the end of the league. So again, one moment we're getting ready to be parents. Another moment, nope, I'm just kidding. I mean, that's how it felt for me. And I'm not judging these these young kids for approaching the situation that way. Like I can't possibly expect them to be thinking about my feelings, right? How this would affect me. I'm not saying don't change your mind. I'm just saying the way that you deliver that information, or the fact that you should deliver that information, that should enter your mind. But again, it's like they wouldn't be considering not parenting their own child if there wasn't drama going on in their lives, right? So yeah, I got the text message, and nope, just kidding. That's what it felt like. Just kidding. You're not going to be a parent. With this one, we had the added bonus, because, like I said, this was my brother's baby, my mom's first grandchild. So my brother and I went to meet with my mom and give her the news in such a way that she wouldn't necessarily freak out and be upset about my brother, because hey, your oldest daughter, after all these years of struggle, is going to be a mom, so let's focus on that, right? So that's basically what I said. Mom, good news, I think it looks like we finally found the baby that we are going to be adopting, and by the way, my brother is the father, right? So it went kind of down like that. Now I kind of feel a little bit used, because I feel like that whole thing was just to kind of ease notifying my mom. That's what it feels like to me at this point. I don't have hard feelings over it, but that's what it felt like at the time. When we were at the hospital when she had the baby, and she and the baby came and lived with us for 4 or 5 months before joining my brother in Florida, because he had joined the military. So that was interesting, because surely we were expecting the baby to come live with us, but as our son, right? And instead he came to live with us as our nephew. And for a really, really long time, I couldn't bond with him as my nephew, because I had built up this hope for several months that I'm going to be adopting him, so he's going to be my son. And it wasn't the same as with the other leads, where they just we had these people in our lives, and all of a sudden, nope, just kidding, no, they're gone. This was family. These people were going to be a part of my life. I couldn't just ignore the fact that this little boy was going to be my son, and now he wasn't. And then I was supposed to put on a happy face, and oh yay, I'm a happy aunt, yay. And I don't understand why people didn't understand how incredibly difficult and painful that was for me. I didn't like being around my nephew as he was growing up. He spent a lot of time actually staying with my mom the first like 3 or so years of his life. So I saw him a lot when I would visit my mom, and I didn't enjoy that. It was very painful for me, and she didn't understand why. But if I don't know, like I said, it took maybe about 3 years, and then one day I was visiting and hanging out, and I realized that I was enjoying hanging out with my nephew, and it was fine, and it was cool, and the whole what would have been was finally behind me. So now it's cool. I don't even think about it. It's like I have to, oh yeah, that was the same, little boy. So I'm not worried about it anymore. Um, there's a little bit more to the story, and I'm going to save that to for the next video. Thanks for listening.